back on March 31st, 1985, when Vince McMahon bet the farm that WrestleMania would truly be the grand spectacle of them all, the granddaddy of them all, as it were, even though Starrcade started well before it, and then Mid-South Wrestling was running the Superdome well before Crockett had the idea of doing any big event, and then you had Texas Stadium shows from Fritz Von Erich, and going all the way back to the Jim Londos days in the 1930s and 40s and whatever. The whole point is, WrestleMania was not the first grand spectacle, but it was the most lavish, and it was a way to basically beat people over the goddamn head and make sure that you recognize that, guess what? Vince McMahon was going to be the only game in town. And then, of course, Ted Turner bought WCW. We had some lean years. The Monday Night Wars had pay-per-view explode. ECW was even doing pretty well on pay-per-view, all things considering, and it was great. And then, well, ECW went bankrupt. WCW got bought out. And then Fusion Media was not able to basically bring its whole deal to a close because Jamie Kellner, fuck that goddamn piece of shit. He's dead, thankfully. WCW was left without a home, so WWE was the only game in town. AEW has risen up and done pretty well on pay-per-view, all things considered. And then we went to the network era. We didn't realize how good we had it, folks. And then we went to the Peacock era, and now the ESPN era, where now we're being charged way more for even less. Speaking of less, boy, they decided to give New Orleans less after WrestleMania 41 was so successful in Allegiant Stadium. They were going to go to New Orleans for the Superdome, grand spectacle, but then Vegas officials said, here's more money. And then they said, fuck you, New Orleans, we'll give you a TBA event, but who knows what's going to happen in the far future. We might not even be around in a proper world in the far future, but in the near future, we have WrestleMania 42 back in Vegas with higher ticket prices because TKO seems to think that they can strangle more money out of wrestlers, or at least wrestling fans, and possibly just have the wrestlers charge even more for their meet and greets because TKO has no goddamn idea what they are doing. And boy, oh boy, are they learning the hard way. Some people are not going to part with their hard-earned money when they have bills to pay. They have mouths to feed. There ain't nothing in this world for free. They can't slow down. They can't hurry up, even though we wish we could, because there's money that needs to be spent on things other than WWE World. Does that make sense? No, it goddamn doesn't. Let's uncage this elephant. I'm John Retland with my WWE WrestleMania 42 Night 1 and 2 predictions. So let me know your predictions in the comments, please. That was a long intro. By the way, depending on the order you are seeing these videos in, there's also going to be a Michael Cole and Jerry Lawler feud, somewhat deep dive up on the channel. So yeah, let's get on into it. Night 1. By the way, I'm recording these on the 8th of April. There are 13 matches. They could possibly add another women's match to night 2 because there's still 2 SmackDowns technically, even though the SmackDown just before WrestleMania is not going to mean nearly as much because it's going to bleed right into the Hall of Fame. They really need to start hosting the Hall of Fame on a different night. But that being said, they could add a U.S. title match last minute. They could have a women's battle royal, which I think might be the other option just to get more women on the goddamn card. But let's go with what they have officially announced for Night 1. So, the Usos, Jimmy and Jay, and LA Knight, I hope LA Knight drives them, taking on the team I call Speed Vision. It is what is left of the Vision that practically has glaucoma at this point. We have Logan Paul, noted piece of shit, great athlete, noted piece of shit. Austin Theory, technically sound, notably bland individual, and I Show Speed. So, I could see them having the heels win, but I think they're going to want to have the crowd start hot and happy. Usos and LA Knight are going to get the victory here. I think Speed is going to basically just end up, inadvertently costing his team. And it'll be a make good. And maybe we can get LA Knight versus I Show Speed if we have a bit of a fracas, but the faces are somehow going to win. And there we go. Drew McIntyre versus Jacob Fatu, unsanctioned match. I really hope that this doesn't go longer than about 10, maybe 12 minutes, because I'm kind of sick of the weapons all over the place match. I think Jacob Fatu is going to win. I really wish that Drew McIntyre had won back in, say, October, won the title back in October, and then when he lost it, it would have meant more. It would have meant a couple more months of his reign. But Jacob Fatu and Drew McIntyre having this feud makes sense. I think Jacob needs to win, though, because I just, if you don't give him something big for like a WrestleMania moment like this, then it's kind of a misfire. It's not like Drew is going to be any less made. AJ Lee versus Becky Lynch for the IC title. I think AJ Lee is going to retain, and I think here's a bold prediction, maybe not so bold. JC Jane is going to show up the following night in an open challenge, and she's going to take the IC title from AJ Lee. Now, that's a rocket ship thing, but wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. And JC Jane doesn't have to win. They could build up a feud at Backlash and then have JC take it there, but it could be a shocking moment. Becky does not need the title. And AJ Lee having it, even if it's just going to be for a little bit longer, a couple days longer, is not the worst thing in the world. It would give AJ Lee a big win, considering that her last WrestleMania appearance also involved a win. It's been a well-built feud, but this needs to be the end of it, and AJ Lee retaining is the best way to go about it. So, I mean, you could have Becky win and then have JC Jane still challenge her. I just think they need to find a way to put JC Jane on the goddamn Raw After Mania card. So, now we go to another women's match. Charlotte and Alexa versus Bayley and Lyra versus the Bellas versus Lash and the desecrated corpse of Nia Jax in a 4-way women's tag title match. And Lash deserves better. Get her away from Nia because this is not a good team. Lash is having to do the heavy lifting. The Lash still needs the right opponents to help her. And Nia is not a good teacher because Nia can't work and has never been able to. I have Bayley and Lyra winning for this reason. Bayley didn't get her moment for a number of WrestleManias, and I think winning here would be the best call because at least it would give her something. I don't know when there are rumors that her contract's up and she might go to AEW, who knows? Her contract could be up sometime this year. Her contract could be up sometime after next WrestleMania. Who goddamn knows? But Bayley and Lyra, I think, are going to take it here. The Bellas, God forbid, do not need to be the champions. No one wants to see the Bellas as champions. If you do, fine, but I just don't know why anybody would. And Charlotte and Alexa, please, put these titles on full-grown adults and people that have not gotten titles recently. But have Nia pinned. Don't have Lash pinned. Protects Lash, move her into a proper feud. Possibly either with Jade, if Jade retains, or possibly with Rhea. So, Seth Rollins versus Gunther, because Braun Break Steiner couldn't come back in time because of the hernia thing, and that is fine. I think Seth is going to win, but I wouldn't be surprised if they do a ref bump and Steiner makes an appearance and does a spear, and Gunther manages to get the victory. It gives Seth an out and gives Gunther a win. But I wouldn't be surprised if they try to give Seth, a big victory here. But then they got to do something where Steiner will show up. And if he doesn't show up at Mania, then he's going to show up on the Raw after Mania. And they're just saving it, even though it would be nice to see him there. So Seth will win, but I wouldn't be upset if Gunther won. And then we have Stephanie Vaquer versus Liv Morgan for the Women's World title, or is it the WWE title? I don't really care, honestly, at this point. There's 2 women's titles. Stephanie has one of them. Despite the fact that they have had Liv almost lean into Triple H, someone like you territory. And that's not knocking Liv. That's the creative she's been given. Because I think Liv and Stephanie could have actually had a really good knockdown, drag-out personal feud without going where they've gone. One of 2 things is going to happen, which you could say really in any match. Stephanie will retain because Liv will inadvertently get cost the match by Roxanne, or Roxanne will help Liv win, and then we will get that feud going out of Mania. Stephanie has had the championship since, I believe, WrestlePalooza. That was where she beat Io Sky for that because Naomi had her pregnancy thing. Apparently, she is moving along just nicely on that. I wish her and Jimmy nothing but the best. I hope that baby's happy and healthy, and I hope Naomi's going to be all right. And I'm not trying to be ageist, but at the age she is, because she's closing in on 40, biologically, that gets a little bit difficult for women, as my understanding, as I know, as I've talked to women that have had kids even past like 33. Nevertheless, Liv Morgan is either going to lose because of Roxanne or she's going to win because of Roxanne. And if Stephanie loses, okay, we would have to then kind of extend this feud. If Stephanie, I mean, who knows? Stephanie could lose, and then she could win she could lose the title to JC. JC is going to make an impact and win a title on the Raw after WrestleMania. But there we go. That's what I think is going to happen. I think Stephanie is probably going to win. I won't be upset if Liv wins, but I think Stephanie's win. Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton or Pat McAfee for the WWE title. I've said what I feel about Pat McAfee. I think he's overstayed his welcome. I don't think that he's beneficial to the company anymore. He's become much more of a blowhard. And to be fair, he's got fuck you money. He doesn't really need to do anything. But he's also not nearly the inspiring individual that he claims to be, based on the guests that he has on his show and his certain leanings. You can't actually be a caring individual and lean the way he does. Cody is a champion and is going to get booed massively. I'm not saying Orton's going to be cheered like he's Hogan at WrestleMania 18, but I think Randy Orton's going to win. Because I think we're going to, and they're probably going to have Jelly Roll in Cody's corner, which is going to be terrible. I actually wouldn't be surprised if they ended up doing this and having the celebrity involvement and then went with Cody and Jelly Roll versus Randy and Pat at night 2, and they just give away that match right there. They'll probably push that to Backlash, but they could just suddenly shove it out there because they only have 6 matches on the night 2 card, and they may just say, hey, women, we gave you 3 matches on night 1. You're getting 1 on night 2, and fuck you, we're doing this. I think Randy's going to win. I hope he wins. If he doesn't win, this is going to be kind of pointless because Randy's time is coming to an end. He needs to get that 15th championship. He's not going to end up breaking Flair or tying Flair's record or winning 2 more to tie Cena's record. He's not going to do that, but 1 more title run ain't the worst thing in the world. But this is an indictment on WWE basically having an age problem in their main event and an age problem in general. And this is something that's across wrestling where I'm not saying once you're 40, you're done. But you need to start thinking about things because of the mileage and the injuries and whatever. Hey. So that being said, let's go to night 2. So, Sami Zayn versus Trick Williams for the U.S. title. Unless they shoehorn Carmelo Hayes in here, which I'm not opposed to. I'm not opposed to on SmackDown them shoehorning, or not even shoehorning, but just sliding him in there because Carmelo Hayes did just recently lose the title. He's not Sammy Hogan, by the way. Because Sammy hasn't been the champion all that much. He didn't even have the IC title that long. Like, of all the people to get upset about that, it's like, if Sammy had won, like, say, 5 world titles, okay, you could say that. And it's like the Becky Hogan thing. It was stupid. I think Trick Williams is actually going to take the title from Sammy. And I think we're going to have, it's going to be Interference Mania. I think we're going to have quite a bit of that. I think Carmelo could end up costing Trick, because Trick did end up accidentally costing Carmelo the match, and then we build to that 3-way. But I think Trick might actually get it here, and honestly, Sammy doesn't need a long reign. He doesn't. He's as over as he's going to be. Trick has some rapper with Little Yachty. I think that's his name. He was getting criticism, apparently, for his involvement, which at least he seems to love the product. And he doesn't actually seem like a fucking toxic, viewed idiot like Jelly Roll or Pat McAfee. Yeah, fuck Jelly Roll, having his arm around Christy Gnome, claiming to be a good Christian. That's usually when when somebody, puts it out there they're a good Christian, what kind of person they are. That's not all people that are religious. That's just how it is. But Trick Williams winning, I'm all for. I'll just go bold prediction and have him win. So Jade Cargill with Mia Yim, it really should be. You couldn't find anybody else other than B-Fab. I'm sorry, B-Fab is terrible. She is never going to be good. I will not live long enough. None of us watching will live long enough for B-Fab to ever get good in the ring. That is fine if she can just be the Fall Girl, which should have actually probably been the title of the Fall Guy. We should have Fall Guy and Fall Girl, like Shark Boy and Lava Girl. God, that movie was terrible. So let's just get to that. So Jade and Rhea Ripley for the WWE Women's Championship, I assume. Jade has held this title for a while. Probably should have won it at SummerSlam if we're being perfectly honest, because she didn't win it until sometime later. I don't know if it was WrestlePalooza or sometime after. But if Rhea doesn't win, then it's going to continue her association with Io, but then again, the brand split doesn't mean anything. Rhea could win. Rhea could go to SmackDown for a bit, have some fresh feuds, or at least decent feuds. She could face off against Lash for that championship. She could face off against Charlotte again. I mean, they had a really great match at WrestleMania 39 as long as Charlotte doesn't win. God forbid if they have Rhea against Alexa. That should be a minute squash. But I don't think there's anything fresh for Jade to do with the championship. Yes, she has her crew. She could go to Raw, and she could challenge Stephanie or whoever for the championship. But I think it's time for Rhea to, go back on top. I'm sorry. I'm not feeling it with Jade. I'm just really not. And when Mia Yim and Mia Yim's good, do not get me wrong, but when Mia Yim is head and shoulders your best worker, and she really has not been utilized all that well, that doesn't speak very highly of your trio. Jade is for show, not go, because she can do a couple decent things, but she seems checked out to me, especially based on that outfit on Raw. I'm sorry, when you look like the red monster that Bugs Bunny, did the hair of in that, Looney Tunes episode. I mean, there's just really nothing else to say. Rhea's going to win. If Jade wins, it is what it is. I mean, I don't really care. I'm not, after the Raw after Mania, I'm not going to be doing a lot of WWE reviews, I'll tell you that much. And probably not a lot of AEW stuff. But let's go to Penta versus Ray versus JD McDonough versus Rusev, who has been all over this show. At least I want to say that, but he hasn't been. Versus Dragon Lee versus Javon Evans IC title ladder match. I'm worried Javon is going to jump off of a ladder onto another ladder and then throw a ladder on somebody and then hit a cutter off of possibly the goddamn top of Allegiant Stadium. Javon Evans might actually take this, but I think Ray's going to get one final dance. And then I think Ray's going to win. We're going to go to SummerSlam. And Dominic's going to go for the title. And Ray says, okay, it'll be a title match. And if you want this, you got to give me something. Ray will put his career on the line. It'll be like Dominic's hair versus Ray's career. Because I think Ray's about done. I mean, Ray's at or over 50. He was born in 74, so he's going to be 52. And you cannot tell me that Ray, with the time he's taken off from injury, is probably not, really close to the end here. So that's where I think we're going to go. We're probably going to go to SummerSlam, and it's going to be it's going to be a title match, hair versus mask. They're going to give us the whole kit and caboodle. Maybe I'll review SummerSlam, I don't know. Maybe they'll do it at Backlash, and that'll be it. If Javon won, I'd be cool, but I think Ray's going to take it. So, Demon Finn Balor against Dominic Mysterio. I think Demon Finn Balor is going to win, even though it's going to be an interesting reaction, because Dominic got a really positive reaction at last year's WrestleMania, and in fact had been going in that direction for a bit. But I think Demon Finn Balor, and then we go Oba Femi versus Bork with Heyman. It better be Oba. I fear that Brock will win, and that will deflate the crowd, but it better be Oba. Do not tell me that Brock needs this win. Oba needs this a lot more. They will just basically kill the Golden Goose before he's even had a chance to lay a goddamn egg if Oba does not win. And I'm not saying it needs to be 2 minutes, and he beats him. 7 minutes, power stuff, and then you got, Goldberg versus Brock at WrestleMania 33. Now WrestleMania 20, because that one sucked. That was 5 minutes? And it was, just spam, but it worked. This should be an equivalent of that, maybe with a couple extra minutes on it. Oba and Brock can create some magic. It's probably the thing I'm looking most forward to on the show, but I'm also dreading it because if Oba loses, then he is right back at square one. And it's going to be very, very stupid to do that. Because Brock doesn't need it. Because it's probably going to be Brock versus Gunther at Heyman at SummerSlam. Unless Brock just wants to do it at Backlash and then go home. Because, honest to God, if Brock left this company, yeah, he gets a pop when he comes out. Yes, he'll mean something. He's also near 50. And whatever lawsuit he is or isn't named, I'm not even factoring that into this whole thing. Brock just looks every bit the near 50 that he is. And it's time to go. It is time for 2026 to be the year of retirements. And Gunther retiring him would make sense. CM Punk versus Roman Reigns for the world title. It better be Punk. It better be Punk because Roman can go off and make some movies or do whatever. We don't need Roman as a part-time champion. No, Punk does not wrestle every single week. He's usually there most weeks, unless he's selling an injury or whatever it is. Punk needs to retain here and go into some other feuds. They can revisit this at SummerSlam, and they can do some kind of spin. They need to give Punk a longer reign. I know he's had it for a few months, but they really need to have just Punk established as the guy for the temporary. He doesn't need to be the champion by the time we get to WrestleMania 43. Whether or not that's going to be in Saudi Arabia, given what's going on over there currently, is another story. Like, seriously, I could actually see them shifting that location if everything isn't on fucking fire over there by that point, like it is now. But I think Punk retaining is the right call, because I do not want to see Roman as champion anymore. If he makes more appearances, a TV, and multiple pay-per-views, fine. But otherwise, just keep it on Punk and let him have some good feuds and go to SummerSlam and then have him lose it there. Nevertheless, those are my predictions. Let me know your predictions in the comments, please. By the way, I also think Jelly Roll and Pat are going to get involved really stupidly. And I think it's going to be some terrible stuff. And I think that there's potential for some of these matches to be good, but I will not lie to you. I'm not that excited about this WrestleMania, but I wanted to dissect this stuff before I basically say, yeah, WrestleMania 42, night 1 and 2. And then maybe the Raw after WrestleMania. Depends on what I'm doing that day. And then if I go cold on WWE for a bit, don't worry. Now, I might do Backlash. I don't know. I might get a month of ESPN plus whatever. And that would come with Backlash. But God forbid, guys, I'm just burned out. I've been doing this for over a decade. I posted a channel update, thing about taking a sabbatical, and I think it's about time. But nevertheless, let me know your predictions in the comments, please. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter, Letterboxd, Blue Sky handles in the description. I'm John Ritland, and until we see what happens in Vegas in just over a week, happy trails to you.